Hey, so in my last video, I had talked about how I think that by leaning into your pain, that's where you'll find your purpose. And I discussed what I had been through with a bunch of losses in a short period of time and what that had done to me. And then I talked a little bit about how I bounced back from it and what that looked like. And so now, basically picking back up where I left off there, and this is at this past Christmas 24 time. You know, like I had said in my last video, I was in the best shape of my life, religiously working out, feeling good, just, you know, feeling good. And the night before, this would have been the night, I don't know, like the 22nd or something of December. My daughter showed up that night to be with us for Christmas, and so we were ecstatic. It was a big surprise, and she hadn't spent Christmas with us in years, so it was just a happy time. And the next day I wake up and I can feel that there's something wrong with my back. Now, the night before I had been lifting, but I mean, this is something I'd been doing for 18 months at this point. I know what I'm doing, you know, and wasn't like it was I had some bad form or something that caused this accident. Like, I really don't know, or this injury, I really don't know how this injury happened. But I just woke up the next day, and the only thing I could think of was I was working out the night before. So I just attributed to that I must have tweaked my back, although I didn't feel anything like in my back that night. I didn't feel like anything was wrong. The workout was fine. Everything was good, but I just woke up with this pain. And as the day went on, it went from just this discomfort in my back to like pain. And around 5 o'clock, it got unbearable to where I had to sit down. And that went on for a few nights there. 5 o'clock, like clockwork, I had to sit down with a bunch of pillows up against my side and a heating pad just to try and take the edge off. And that ended up going on through all the holidays, and it was a busy holiday. We had a lot of plans, so I still did what I could to survive everything that we had going on, but it was torturous. I mean, the pain was like unbearable at times, and it got to the point where it was no longer just an evening. It was from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. And I'm eating 4 Advil every 4 hours because it's the only thing I could do to take the edge off. And I remember being at my brother's on New Year's Eve down by DC, thinking like, I may have to go to the emergency room here. I don't want to. Like, I'm from the mountains of nowhere, and now here I am down near the city, and if I have to go to this emergency room, it's gonna suck bad. But I decided against that, and I'm gonna tough it out till I get home, and I'll deal with it here. And I just kept hoping it would just kind of go away on its own, but it didn't. So I ended up going to the emergency room, and I find out, well, it was a joke, first off. And they told me they felt it was inflammation of the hip, is what they told me. And there's a name for it, I don't remember it, but something with inflammation of the hip. So gave me a pain shot in my one arm and then a steroid shot in my other. Sent me on my way and told me the pain shot should give you some relief until that steroid kicks in, but within a few days you should be feeling better. Well, 3 days later, I'm in worse pain than I had been that day when I was there. So I called the emergency room and I told them, like, look, I was just in there 3 days ago and it didn't get any better. It's actually worse. I'm coming back in. And they said, well, don't come back in. you should go see your family doctor first. So luckily I was able to get in with him that evening. It was his last appointment. It was a Friday. Appointment was at 4. I go in, I meet with the doctor. He asked me where I'm feeling the pain at. I showed him. He touched my back and he's like, oh man, that muscle's rock hard. He's like, that's not, they misdiagnosed you there. That's not a issue with your hip. That's a lumbar issue. So I'm gonna give you a muscle relaxer because it's obviously in a spasm right now. And there's a deer over there. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. But I'm walking the trails out back of my house here. It's beautiful out here. But anyway, yeah, so he gives me a muscle relaxer and says, I'm gonna put you on an oral steroid for 9 days and this should knock it out. Okay, so now I'm thinking, all right, hopefully I can get some relief from this now because it had been like over 2 weeks. And I get about halfway through the steroid, the 9 days, and it's not any better. It's maybe even a little worse. So I called him again. He ended up giving me some gabapentin or something, and that didn't do anything. So then he upped the dose of gabapentin, and that didn't do anything. And I went back in to see him after the 9 days were over, and I said, look, I just want to get an MRI because at this point, the pain's all in my side, but it's also in my groin. And so I'm worried I might have cancer or something because this pain was like severe, severe pain, like unbearable at times. And I'm worried like I might have cancer. Like this might not even have anything to do with my back and these freaking doctors, because I'll tell you one thing I've learned through this whole thing, this medical system is a joke. That's for damn sure. Anyway, he's like, well, the insurance, they won't approve an MRI at this point. You'll have to do physical therapy first. And mind you, like I can't even hardly walk. Like it hurts to walk. I gotta sit down. If I'm up for more than 15 minutes, I gotta sit down. Now you wanna send me to therapy. So I argued with him about it a little bit. It didn't matter. He said, this is what you're gonna have to do. So he set me up with physical therapy. I go through 4 sessions, 2 weeks worth. And the therapist is like, look, I don't think this is getting any better, and I'm not even sure what we're trying to treat here. I think you need more imaging. And I'm like, well, I agree, but he said they wouldn't do it. And he's like, well, maybe they will with my referral as well. So I get a hold of my doctor. I told him, look, the therapist thinks I need this MRI. I agree. I want to get this MRI done. He submits it. 10 days go by. And 10 days when you're in this type of pain is a long time. And it's bullshit. And it was only, in the end, to be denied. They denied the MRI. The doctor had called me and told me, I think they denied it because it's coming from a doctor. If it would have came from a back specialist, they probably would have approved it. So I'm gonna get you set up with a back specialist. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if you thought that there was even a chance of that happening, why wouldn't you have just sent me to the specialist and let them submit for it? Like, anyway, again, the system's a joke. I go through, or I'm sorry, what I meant to say is, in the meantime, I also get a letter from the insurance, a denial letter, and they're saying it's because I didn't finish 6 weeks of therapy. So in order for me to get in with the specialist, it was like a month and a half out. And it just so happened to be that when that appointment was made was the week, it was the 7th week. So it was a week after the 6 weeks of the physical therapy. So I finally get in with a specialist. He does an x-ray. Well, we have, the consultation, tell him what's going on, took a bunch of information, told me what he thought it was, but said that he was going to submit for the MRI, and he wanted to do an x-ray before I left his office. And I said, well, I had one done at the ER, maybe you could just get it from them. And he's like, nah, we'll just do one here too, that way I have it, my office does it, and we have it for our records. Okay, whatever. So I get an x-ray before we leave. And about an hour and a half away, my home from his office. And by the time I walked in my door, I was getting a phone call from him. And he says, I'm looking at your x-ray and I see that you have a compression fracture on L1, the vertebrae L1. Oh. He's like, yeah. He's like, typically we don't see that unless there was some type of accident or a fall. And I was like, well, there was nothing like that. Like I said, I just woke up with it. He's like, all right, well, yeah. He's like, you know, we can do surgery and some other things to help correct that, but we'll wait for the MRI to understand what's going on for sure, and we'll go from there. So the MRI is scheduled. Finally, they approve it. That took 7 days for the insurance to approve it. They approve it after 7 days, and finally the MRI is scheduled, but it's like another month and a half out, whatever it was. Now at this point, I'm not in that excruciating pain. I'm just in constant discomfort. And like I can tell there's something wrong with my back and I have to take it easy. Like I can't, there's no way I can go back to my normal way of life. Like no way. And so, you know, you wait the month and a half, whatever it was, get the MRI, and now it's another like month and a half to get the results, to meet with the doctor and talk about what the results were. Finally, that all happened, and he says, so 3 things. You got a fractured vertebrae on L1, and you had herniated discs on L4 and L5. So compression fracture and 2 herniated discs. He's like, that explains where all the pain was coming from, and all the neurological issues you were experiencing. That's definitely part of it. So anyway, I mean, I'm relieved at this point because the whole time I'm still wondering if it's cancer, not even my back. I wasn't even sure yet. So, yeah, so he says, now we can't fix this issue. All we can do is treat the symptoms. So he scheduled me for an injection, a steroid injection directly into my spine in that location. That was scheduled. It was another month and a half out. I get that done. Now that puts us up to about a month ago. That was done. They said you should, if it's gonna work, you should experience relief within 3 to 14 days. But we have seen where we've had to do numerous shots, you know, and for them to be effective. So, you know, it may not work on the first one, whatever. Anyway, I get the shot done, and yeah, didn't do shit. Felt exactly the same. And not to mention, the shot itself wasn't pleasant. And for the women out there, anybody listening, props to you, pregnant women, when you get that, you know what, in the back, because that's basically what I had. It was just, I think with them, they give you I don't know if it's a steroid or a pain shot. It might be something different, but the method which they use to go directly into your spine is the same. So yeah, was not pleasant at all. And without, you know, with not getting any relief from it, I don't really plan on going through it again unless I'm in that severe pain. But anyway, all that to say, at a point in my life where I'm finally bouncing back from all this horrible stuff that had happened, feeling physically great, you know, and now this happens, knocked back down again. And, you know, I lost everything I gained in that month or the 18 months that I'd been working out. I lost everything within the first 2 months of not being able to do anything with this injury. Like, I topped out at 200 pounds there, you know, when I was at my peak. And within 2 months, I was back down to almost 175. I mean, it was close, 180, 175. So I lost everything. So that in itself is discouraging. And, you know, I found myself back in that low place, starting to spiral again, you know, starting to pick up the bad habits again. I can't do what I did last time to save me, which was working out and, you know, focusing on my health. Now, essentially, I lost my body. So now what do I do? Like, what can I do to turn this around? And what I came up with is, obviously, I have to try and regain the strength in my back. I was told I'm probably not going to be able to trail run anymore, probably not going to be able to lift weights anymore, not heavy like I was. Have to switch things around. Perhaps instead of trail running, go run on a track, or instead of lifting weights, do some calisthenics. And as far as my work, basically my duties would have to be modified in a way to where it's at my discretion what I can do. Well, that doesn't fit with my job. My job is physically demanding, and there's just no way around that. And yeah, so wasn't able to return to work, and I hit the 6-month point, which put me out of short-term disability through my employer, and now I'm entering into limited long-term disability. And with that, I'm going to be losing like a pretty good percentage of my salary, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to bounce back from this, because like just walking, it starts to go down, you know, the pain's like on one side or the other in my spine. If I walk for more than a mile or two, it starts to go down my ass cheek and into my leg, and it's on both sides. It's one side one day, the next side the other, or the next day the other. So now, not only am I back at this low place, now I'm also faced with potentially losing my job, and it was a pretty damn good job, pretty good paying job, and I had been at it for about 8 years. But I get it. I mean, I have to be fit for work. I got to be able to show up and do the job that I went out on, and unfortunately, the doctor wasn't willing to give me a full release with no restrictions, and so now I find myself entering into this long-term disability thing, which I'm really unsure of. I think there's a lot of gray areas with it. So I have been pondering this for a long time about, because obviously I had a lot of time to think, not able to do anything but sit there and think. And while I was thinking, I realized that the stories that I have to tell here about these things, I don't know, in my mind, they're powerful and relatable, I think, to a lot of people. And so I've wanted for a long time, with just what happened with my family, losing all my family members, to do something positive to kind of redeem what happened there, so that it just wasn't purposeless, and you know, to somehow turn all that negativity into something positive, and something that I can be proud of in their name, you know, that I did it in remembrance of them, and trying to take something that was so negative and painful and turn that into fuel, to become the best version of myself that I can be, and to help others do the same thing. And so the whole point of all this is to tell you that I've been in the pit, and I've also crawled out, and I was pretty far down. And I think personally, the further you are, the higher the climb, the bigger the climb, the bigger the transformation, and the bigger the transformation is the bigger the testimony. And the testimony is what can impact and help change someone else. And so to me, at this point, I've decided that that's what it's all about. I thought about that long enough. I'm done thinking about it. I'm ready to act on it. It's hard to put this out because it's my personal business, but I think that it has the potential to help someone, to impact someone. And so it's worth it, I think, to not hold it all in, and to put it out there, and hopefully it can help somebody. And also, as I move through this, to also help hold me accountable to not backslide back into my old ways, because I don't want to go there again. I don't want to be there again. And I almost slipped back into that with this injury, because to be told you're not going to be able to do the things that you really enjoy and that saved you from the train wreck that you had just went through, well, that was pretty discouraging and depressing, and I had a hard time dealing with that. But I'm accepting it now. I realize that I'm just gonna have to change a few things, but still alive, and I still have a lot to live for. So that's my message, and that's my mission. Like I said, leaning into your pain is where you will find your purpose. And this is where I found mine. And so that's what we're about to do. Stick around. See you in the next video.